When it comes to discussing matters governance in this continent, corruption tends to rate very highly on that agenda. And that is one of the key concepts we'll be discussing in today's motion. And the motion of dissection reads, financial literacy will not solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. I'll read the motion of dissection again. Financial literacy will not solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. Proposing and opposing this motion is Nyeri High School versus Mathakwaini Secondary School, and all the best to both teams as we build momentum in the Mount Kenya region. Team proposition, first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Tax 1, tax 2, 1 billion, 2 billion. I'm just testing the mic. So, my name is Mark David from the Mathakwaini School. When you hear Mathakwaini, you know I come from the mountain. And when you hear the mountain, you're reminded of a truthful man. So I represent him today. I stand here before you to propose the motion that financial literacy will not solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. Now, I am the only son. In my family, I have 6 sisters. Can you imagine 6 sisters? Yeah, I'm the only son. So, my sisters are spendthrift. They spend a lot of money. So as the hope for my family, I have to be equipped with financial knowledge on how best to manage my finances so that when the time comes, I will be the breadwinner of the family. Now, with that responsibility, I am well acquainted with the knowledge of finances and also acquainted with the knowledge of economics around the globe. Now, what is financial literacy? Financial literacy is the understanding of how best to manage your finances, how best to manage your finances, investments, and also how best to borrow. Okay? So, in a country where corruption is the pervasive shadow that limits economic growth in our country, we cannot let this pass unchallenged. So, ladies and gentlemen, corruption deprives marginalized communities, vulnerable people. It deprives them of the opportunity to be acquainted with the necessary knowledge to identify the best places to invest, the best places not to invest, if you know what I'm saying. Corruption is the major source of economic degradation in the country. Let me give you an example. We have the Kenya Finance Bill 2024, which has been convoluted in the shadows of corporate boardrooms. I say this because, first things first, tax has been a major issue that our corrupt government has enforced day in, day out, as we have seen. Corruption these taxes have conspicuously been seen to be a burden to Kenyans, where you find that someone earning 50,000 shillings a month only gets 29,000 shillings in hand due to the value addition tax, due to the pay as you earn tax. So, as we delve into matters financial literacy, I'd like to tell you guys that we cannot have a country that is developing economically as long as corruption is a vice in Kenya. Thank you.
See, I have a friend. His name is Bob. See, Bob is a CEO in a building company. Within his company, he does a lot of matters of handling money. So, as one day, as he was in his office handling his money, as always, he's called on a mission to come and build a school. A great school, which can be able to do well. But what does somebody else do along the side? He comes to him and tells him, hey, instead of doing all of that, why don't you come build my house? I'll give you more, and we can keep the money that you have for yourself. And he tells him no. And he goes to the ESCC and sells him out. He blows the whistle on him because he's financially literate and he knows what happens when once resources are misallocated. Call me Eliud Gishoi from the Nyeri High School, here to oppose the motion that states financial literacy will not solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. What is financial literacy? Financial literacy is ability to understand and use effectively various financial skills. What are economic problems? These are various obstacles that occur due to economic development. What is corruption? Corruption is a dishonest or illegal behavior mostly done by powerful people. What are vices? Vices are immoral or wicked behavior. Now you see, from my story we have learned something. That once someone stands up for what is right, once someone is simple and transparent, they're able to do what it is required for them to fight corruption. Because one is financially literate, he's able to fight against corruption. This is what has led even to his business growing. Because according to the study done by Industrial Business Ethics, they found out that companies that are able to do and work with people who are of ethic standards are able to get people and record a 10.8% increment in their assets. People who are financially literate, people who know how to budget, how to save, how to invest, and how to use their money wisely. Businesses that prioritize this are able to keep their money well, use it well, and help them grow. Achieving SDG number 8, decent work and economic growth. Achieving other SDGs such as 4, quality education, 9, industry and infrastructure. All of these have been done due to financial literacy. I'll feel bad for your 6 sisters who don't know who are always out there spendthrifting. Well, they can come to me and I can teach them how to be financially literate. So if you feel as if they're too lonely, they can come to me and my friend and we'll teach them how things are done. If you want to be financially literate, you're able to fight against corruption and will solve economic problems. I don't rest my case.
In terms of numbers, 1 + 1 is equals to 2. But in the world of politics, 1 + 1 is equals to 3. Financial literacy will not help solve cannot help in economic development as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. All right. Well, corruption is one of the most dangerous things you can have around you. Take for instance, imagine sitting in a bench, all right? When sitting on this bench, in this hall, then there is all smoke around you. Well, how is the environment feeling? Are you even able to concentrate? Corruption is one of the major things that can cause us not to go anywhere. First, we all know corruption can lead to inflation, all right? For example, well, I'm financially literate, I say, let me take this 20,000 and save it in a financial institution, all right? Well, I may get it in some times, and I may get some money. Well, when I save this 20,000, I could have purchased a fridge, right? Now, after a few years, there is inflation, all right? Now, the 20,000, I've gained 23,000. But due to inflation, the same fridge goes for about 28,000. 28,000 is for the value of the fridge, but the value for my money is 23,000. Have I gained or have I lost? Well, in corrupt countries, there is uneven distribution of resources, all right? Where smaller farms are oppressed by the larger farms because these larger farms have illegal connections with the government officials. They pay less tax compared to what they earn. They are also given less oppressive policies. Again, they also manipulate the policymakers. Thus, during the formation of the policies, they only allow for the formation of policies that support their businesses. What happens to the voices of the unheard? They get oppressed, all right? And this is all due to corruption. Will economic development occur? No. Well, in corrupt countries, resources are allocated inappropriately. As tenders are awarded to companies, well, that would give something in return for the tenders. Take this. There are a few companies, all right? They are ready to provide a certain service. When these services are being provided, the person giving the tenders gives the judges, the person giving the tenders only gives the tenders to those people who are of his side, all right? Now, these people may not merely be specialists, but they just know the guy who is giving the tenders. And this may lead to the contracts given, they make the projects to be done, may not be fully completed. And this is evident as in Kenya, most projects you see are halfway or maybe not even half. Well, these few remarks, you want a financial literate society with corruption, do you think we'll go very far?
Wow, wow, wow. 1 + 1 = 2, 1 + 1 = 3. Guys, you see the effect of being financially illiterate. Guys, we are all financially illiterate. That's why we know 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 is not 3 at all. Even a calculator. Use a calculator if you are not financially literate. So I go from Mwangi Samuel, the one and only Wagidhomo, from Nyeri High School, here to strongly oppose the motion that says financially literate will not solve our economic problem as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. My friend, you have talked about corruption. Wow, we are financially literate people. We are all gone in school. Our judges, you are all literate. All of us have gone into school. So what are you doing now? Because there is a lot of corruption in our country. We are standing up and fighting against corruption. We are fighting against overtaxation, which is bringing our country down. We have no money in our pockets. According to Google.com, Tuesday we will be having a strike of which we are fighting for our rights. If you are not literate, then what we will do? If we are not literate, let's now sit down and just stay there, like how our grandfathers and our grandmothers did. They never knew what to do. But now everybody is discussing about the Constitution of Kenya. What is there helping us and what is there not helping us? That's why I'm saying that we are literate people. Let's not react like illiterate people, guys. We cannot suffer forever because we are now literate. And let's join our group. We are Kenyans now, literate. Let's be like China, which has almost 0 cases of corruption, my friend. Wow, I love that. Corruption, we can end it because we are financially literate. The other point you have said is about inflation. No, we are now literate people and we can know how to fight for corruption in our country by telling our government to increase the expenditure which it is using to promote the developments of our country so that we can fight away inflation. And that's why I'm saying that, guys, we are now literate people. Join our side. Let's say no to corruption, no to inflation. That's why I'm saying if you are literate, we can fight against all the vices that are in our country. And another thing is about the taxes that our country is taking from us. According to Google.cor.ke, it says that our government is taking 1 trillion shillings every month from us. And what is it doing? Look at the development which have been done in our country. Compared to the taxes of which it is collecting, they are not matching anymore. So that's why I'm urging you guys, let's stand up. We are financially literate. We are not financially illiterate. Oh, I wish my grandmother was sitting here because at least she has not gone to school. But guys, you have gone to school. BG, you had a mean of 9. Did you get that 9 because you are financially illiterate? Did you get that grade because you are financially illiterate? That's why I'm telling you guys, join our group, which we are saying that we can fight corruption because you are financially illiterate. I rest my case.
I don't remember the point where we are told that attending school means that you are financially illiterate. I want you to prove to me that. Okay. We say that one finger can't lift a pebble. This illustrates that financial education alone cannot solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in our Kenya. So, in front of you is Mwangi Oliver Kamuri, a concerned Gen Z, ready to propose a motion that says that financial literacy will not solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. Then, if you are indeed financially literate, you'd know that 1 + 1 is equals to 2 and 1 + 1 is equals to 3. But because you're not financially literate, you won't know that. Then, secondly, you say that there is overtaxing in our Kenya. Then, if you're indeed financially literate, the overtaxing is as a result of many debts. And if you are financially literate, we would not have taken the debts in the first place. That's why our government is taking all these debts, all these taxes to clear our debts. So I'll support my colleagues who have just proposed a motion by talking about the bribes. Let me ask you a question. In Kenya, how many university graduates, maybe a master's holder, a degrees holder, lack jobs? There are many. Why? Because you find that people are employed because maybe of connections. And which connections are these? These are bribes. So with those people who have PhDs and masters and they're turned down, then less qualified people are employed. It means that our economic output will be hindered. Thus hindering our economic development. Then secondly, let's put into consideration some other countries. So on a scale of 0 to 100, as a report provided by the Transparency Institution, it says that Kenya lies at number 31. 0 illustrates the most corrupt country, and 100 represents the least corrupt countries. Kenya lies at number 31. It means, where are we? At number 31 means you're not financially literate. You can't understand that. It means that if you're number 31, it means we are corrupt, even more than average. Then, other countries like Sweden and Finland, they have low levels of corruption and high levels of financial literacy. So these two things work hand in hand. And trust me or not, these two things work hand in hand. Because if you can check Sweden and Finland, we find that Finland is number 87. We find that Sweden is number 82. So these two countries are successful. Then, as I almost wind up, there's economic instability, which is caused by the vice corruption. This is brought about by embezzlement of public funds. When somebody takes into account and embezzles public funds, we find that there's a gap which is created. And so that they can fill in this gap, over-taxation and economic turndowns are created. And with financial education, how will you solve these problems? And with that, I rest my case, leaving it now the ball into your court. Please join our side from the Mathakwaini School.
Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you adore animes or maybe the Japanese culture? Maybe it's their art, their dance, their karate. I do. One of the things I love about the Japanese is just how disciplined they are, their integrity. Now, to shock you, Japan is among the leading countries in integrity, according to the International Criminal Court. It is one of the most integrate countries in the world. Now, I go by Alvin Washera from the Nyeri High School, here to firmly oppose this motion that states that financial literacy will not save our economic problem as long as corruption is a vice in Kenya. Now, if all you want is numbers, I'll give you numbers bigger than you can count. According to NTV, the date is 2022, September. 1.6 billion is what we lose every single day due to corruption. Now, according to the same NTV, the same November of the same year, 2022, we lost 40 billion Kenyan shillings due to corruption. We dubbed these criminals the COVID billionaires. So the documentary was on just how criminals made away with fortunes while other people were busy dying in hospital beds. And yet you can dare stand and say that they're financially literate. Ladies, look at your future husbands. People who are here to stand and say that corruption, that financial literacy cannot solve corruption, and you expect them to give you something from their wallets. Please, come to us. We'll help you out a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we move to kba.go.ke, which says that 38% of the Kenyan population is financially literate. 38% of the population in Kenya is financially literate, leaving a huge gap of 62% financially illiterate who walk into offices after we've elected them due to a 50 shillings you got, and then they end up squandering money. Now, how many of you can remember the Seven Falls Dam? Primary school social studies, hands up. Kindaruma, Gitaru, Masinga, Gitonga, just a few of them. But out of these, 2 have never been completed, with an estimated budget of 15 billion Kenyan shillings from the CBK, which was dated this year. They did an audit and found that 15 billion was put into building those dams. Yet, 2 have never been completed. It vanished
because the people who were given the contracts were financially literate. My dear friends, you're walking down the same paths. Be careful. Tread carefully, please. According to news by Citizen Digital, Gen Zs are holding riots each day of this week to oppose the current finance bill, which has been put in place by Parliament. Gen Z, which you are a very concerned member, I presume, are holding riots because they are financially literate and understand how much money they will be losing. So if you wish to follow them into the pit of poverty, please do go ahead. But if you wish to follow us to a land of opulence and integrity, we are right here. The train leaves in 5 minutes.
I've even left my book because you've done most of my work for me. Thank you for that. So, my last opponent said that we lost 40 billion due to corruption. Now, we lost 40 billion due to corruption. I want to ask you a question. If it weren't for corruption, where could have that money gone? Yeah? It could have been used to build roads somewhere, to finance some chamas, as the previous motion. It could have been used to even help in the health sector, but no, it was lost due to corruption. That gives me the verdict that corruption will not stand in our country as a factor of economic disruption. Gen Zs are currently holding demonstration in Nairobi due to financial constraints set by the government. So we are demonstrating because of our corrupt government. Thank you, guys.
Among the things I hate, detest in this world is someone grown up, but I still have to spoon feed you information. Now, if most of your peers are busy outside going out to fight for their rights because they've seen that the government is not doing what it's supposed to do, that they are not being who they were elected to be. So if they are going out on the streets of Nairobi, on the streets of Nyeri, on the streets of practically every city in the country, does that mean they are wrong? You are here standing as a man because you understand this motion, because you are financially literate. Not corrupt, not financially illiterate, but because you have been taught how to save, spend, and budget. That's why our government is facing serious crisis right now, because the same people within the government don't know how to do these things, and they end up putting into place budgets that they cannot manage. That's why we end up with people who will stand here to tell us that that financial literacy cannot end corruption, yet the people who are executing the same corruption don't know the value of what you are carrying. They don't know the value of what they have. But just what if they understood what they had? Would we still be facing corruption?
Financial literacy will not solve our economic problems as long as corruption is still a vice in Kenya. Has justice been done to this motion? From my end, I'll say no. Why? Let's go to the individual, the participating teams. Mathakwaini School, you are supposed to show how corruption is leading in creation of our economic problems, and completely explain how financial literacy will not sort that out. Mark, you began by giving us a relevant anecdote. I wish you could have gone ahead to define the key terms properly. You spoke about corruption being the major source of economic degradation. That was just a statement, a topic statement. I wish you could have gone ahead and given us examples to show how corruption is leading to economic degradation. So here I'm talking about the quality of research. You spoke about the Finance Bill 2024. Where is the link to the motion? There was something hanging there. And then as a first debater, you could have given us more, statistics and figures and real life examples where we have seen corruption leading in creating economic problems in our country. So the quality of research needs to be worked on, but generally your stage presence was spot on. Otherwise, this is a learning experience. I wish us all the best. Thank you.